All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, last night, the New York football Giants found a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory as they fell on the road to the Washington football team by the score of 30-29. The Giants lost on the final play of the game as Washington kicker Dustin Hopkins connected on a 43-yard field goal as he was aided by an offside penalty on Giants defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence when he missed the 48-yard field goal, which would have given the Giants the victory. You look inside of this game, and it comes down to the miscues by the Giants. 11 penalties for 81 yards, including that 5 yards offsides penalty on Lawrence, which, basically won the game for Washington. The Giants' defense allowed Washington to convert on a pair of fourth downs. You go back to the fourth quarter when wide receiver Darius Slayton was wide open. And honestly, as long as Slayton plays in the NFL, he will never, and I repeat, never be as wide open as he was last night when he dropped that touchdown pass, which probably would have clinched the game for the Giants. We also saw one touchdown called back earlier in the contest due to a holding call on wide receiver Kenny Golladay, and that was a Daniel Jones touchdown run. So the Giants left a lot of points on the board. You even go back to late in the fourth quarter when the Giants were down 27-26, and James Bradbury picked off Tyler Heineke. And the Giants had an opportunity if they had just gotten one first down to run out the clock, and they couldn't do it. And they had to settle for a field goal. Washington got the football back, and the rest was history. At the end of the day, there's so many like negative takeaways that you could take that you could look at this game for the Giants. Number one, it's clear that they are lacking a pass rush. You look at Tyler Heineke last night. He really did not have a lot of pressure in his face. He was able to do whatever he wanted. And the Giants are not creating a ton of pressure up front, which is allowing, opposing wide receivers to do whatever they want against them. I mean, let's look at it. 2 games so far this season, and the Giants have allowed Teddy Bridgewater and Tyler Heineke to pick them apart. So what's going to happen if they go out there and face one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL? The Giants have a ton of talent in the secondary, don't get me wrong, but those guys, number one, cannot cover forever if there's not enough pass pressure being created by the front seven. And then on top of that, the guys in the back four, they still have to do a better job of covering. You go back to the fourth quarter. The Giants allowed Washington to march on 75 yards in just 2 plays and take the lead. And that was when Heineke connected with a tight end, Ricky Seals-Jones, in the back of the end zone. Uncalled for. You know what I'm saying? That's the bottom line. This defense has really regressed since last year. And I'm somewhat surprised, but I'm really not surprised. And I say that from the standpoint that it's so difficult to do in the NFL now what you did then, meaning teams, they study your game film, they study your strengths and your weaknesses, and they see what you can and cannot do. And the Giants last year were really predicated and really relied on their defense to get the job done, and that is not the case right now. And unfortunately for New York, they are not a team that is equipped to have their defense take days off because their offense has been so inconsistent with Daniel Jones under center. And on the flip side, the Giants are a team that they're not equipped to overcome turnovers. Granted, they did not have any turnovers last night, but Daniel Jones is not a guy that can be consistent as a starting quarterback so far in his NFL career. He's got to find a way to build off of what he did last night. Arguably the best game of his NFL career. But again, consistency is going to be key, especially at the quarterback position. Jason Garrett's play calling, and I look at the fact of, when Bradbury got that interception and the Giants were in a prime spot to run out the clock. It was a little predictable. I think the Giants would have been better served either, going play action early on that drive or going with a naked bootleg with Daniel Jones. I mean, he was their leading rusher again last night with 95 yards on the ground. And you know what? If he's your guy at quarterback, you know what? You have to trust him at that point to make the right decision. If it's a bootleg and a defender's there, okay, eat it, take the sack. You still got a couple of downs to work with. If not, let them run, at least get the first down and possibly get to the end zone and put the pressure on that Washington offense. You look at it, Joe Judge, the Giants head coach, had his team ready to play last night. But again, the Giants just simply found a way to lose. And this is something that has plagued this organization for several years now. You go back a few years ago when Pat Shermer was the head coach, and, the Giants found a way to lose on a 60-plus yard field goal on the road in the early stages of the season to the Carolina Panthers, and they never recovered from that. You go back to when Ben McAdoo was the head coach, and the Giants found a way to lose on the road early in the season on a 60-plus yard field goal to the Philadelphia Eagles. And, these are just a couple of examples. There have been so many. And the bottom line is the Giants, they just simply find a way to lose these games. And you look at this team, honestly, there should have been arguments in the locker room last night. There should have been plenty of disgust. I don't know. I wasn't there. But the bottom line is, if you've been on this team for this year and the past couple of years, you have to be spitting mad if this is consistently happening, because you expect more from yourself, you expect better from yourself, and the results simply are not there, and this team just does not know how to win these games. You look at it, there was a lot of discussion on the sideline from the players last night, and they've got to find a way to turn things around. I know it's still early in the season, but it is so difficult to overcome that 0-2 hole. You can't take it for granted and say that you play in the NFC East. However, I still don't expect anybody to run away with this division. I mean, Washington's now 1-1. Philly's 1-0. They host San Francisco on Sunday, and Dallas is 0-1, and they're in LA to take on the Chargers. But nonetheless, you can't just sit up there and say and hope that Philly loses to San Fran or Dallas loses to the Chargers, because the bottom line is, if you're the Giants, you got to go out there and take care of your business, which they are not doing. The bottom line is the Giants better get it turned around, and if the Giants fail to make the playoffs this season, that's it for Dave Gettleman. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So you look at the Giants, they're going to have some extra time off. They host Atlanta on September 26th, and they have to find a way to go out there and win. They've got to go out there in that contest and put pressure on veteran quarterback Matt Ryan first and foremost. I've said it before, and I'll say it again about this defense. The Giants have lacked a quality edge rusher for a very long time. I know that Leonard Williams had a big season last year. I know that he's off to a slow start. I know that there are going to be people that question the big contract that he received. But when you have a 3-4 defense that you're really relying on, like the Giants are, you need it more from your outside linebackers and not as much from your defensive ends in regard to creating that pressure. The Giants don't have that guy. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do going forward. It's not about, well, you know what, it's character time, it's gut check time, this, that, and the third, because we've been here with this team for the past couple of years, and it's the same old results. At the end of the day, the Giants are just not that good. And when you're not a good team, you find ways to consistently lose games like they did last night. And they've been doing this for years now. Again, this is a team that only has one playoff appearance since their last Super Bowl championship in 2011. This is a team that only has 2 winning seasons since their last Super Bowl championship in 2011. This is a team that has not won a playoff game since they beat the New England Patriots in January of 2012, which was a very long time ago. So the Giants have some extra days to get their act together for Atlanta. But the way that this season started so far, the results are not looking promising at MetLife for Big Blue. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, signing off. Say take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.